Hey everybody, welcome back to our neck of the woods. So today's video, if you can't tell, it is an absolute hot, horrible, and humid day. But we're up near the roof, roasting in the sun, and we're getting the rear porch finally started. So hang with us and we'll tell you what we got going on. All right, so Erin and I just got our first 6x6 set. Was not easy. She obviously can't pick up this thing by herself, and even one end is very hard, even for me. But we got our math figured out to where the bottom of the bracket up there on the house down to the top of the deck, whatever that measurement is, and then from the top of the deck out here down to the post, I was only able to cut off like 1.5 feet really. So didn't lighten the load that much, but we got it up onto the bucket like at an angle, slowly lifted the bucket up as we then kind of picked it up and got it vertical. And then she kind of bear hugged it up on the lift, and then I got it up onto the diamond pier. And then once we got it leveled up, I just sent some GRKs out here, kind of going against my better judgment here, and I'm not notching the beam. So hopefully you guys are right and the engineer will be fine with that, this is not only going to be holding up the deck, but it's also going to be holding up the porch roof, but it's on its own foundation. So instead of notching it out, pretty much we're going to have to rely either on GRKs to hold it up, or some 1/2-inch bolts to hold it up. Or what I may end up doing is, because since we're still going to do like 2 more plies here and build this out, I'll probably take a 2x6 and attach it to the post and go all the way down. That way, it's not exactly 100% bulletproof, but if we screw in a 2x6 all against that 6x6 beam there, then the 2x6 is kind of holding up this outside post here. And we could probably do that 3 times really. I could put a 6x6 or a 2x6 on a 2x6 or a 2x6 to keep building that out, bolting them all in together. So basically you're sharing all of that load, but you're also bolting it in there. So we'll see how we play with that and how that's going to work. But while the 2x6 may not have a foundation down here, at least the more bolts you put down through there, then you're not going to take a 2x6 and rip it down the length of that 6x6. So it should be okay. But I just got the first LVL set up there. Now, the only thing that I have to do different back here, as opposed to the front of the house, is back here we're only using 2 LVLs instead of 3, because we just don't need the LVLs for the weight. So I had an extra LVL laying around. So what I'm doing is I'm going to put one of those LVLs on the outside and on the inside. And then I just cut some blocks in here, and we're going to stuff those in between and kind of make like a little sandwich. And then that way we'll bolt all 3 plies together, but it's not a full ply going through the middle. Now, 2 more LVLs wouldn't have been that expensive. I think these things were only $46, but the fact that I had one of those laying around, I might as well just go ahead and set the next LVL on the outside, stuff those guys in there, and again, bolt it all together. And we save a little bit of weight and a little bit of headache for me, because it needs bolted together anyway. And if we bolt those together like every 2 feet, then that should be more than enough to carry the load. But we've also now made like a box that thing's not going to want to move. Now, the only thing that I've seen as a problem that I didn't think about the front, this 6x6 is a little twisted again also. So I believe it's going in a little, or it's coming out this way a little bit too much. So that should be a problem. When I go ahead and set this with the trusses, if I put the lift on one side and kind of push that in there, if the posts are both kind of sitting out like this, once we set the trusses, it'll kind of pull it in. And then once we nail the trusses down to the LVL, that'll kind of keep those 6x6s from rocking out or rocking in. And hopefully that will work. But I'm just going to go pick up the next LVL, get it up there and get it set. The only thing that was a huge pain in the butt, I probably shouldn't have put the soffit on first, because you don't really have much room in there to work with to get your hand up in to nail the nails in to attach the LVL to the bracket. Out here is not a problem going in this way, but that was a little kind of contortionist to get in there with a hammer and try and get those in there. So the same thing's gonna happen over here. Okay, so a little bit of a mess up, not really. This joist actually was exactly where the diamond pier needed to be. So I cut 5.5 inches off of there. So now that joist in particular, when the 6x6 gets set, the joist will just come up to here, and we'll actually just put the bracket right on there and attach it right to the 6x6. So not really that big of a deal, but easy fix. But right now we're just hammering in another diamond pier. It takes forever. Like I said, the clay back here is like concrete, so we'll get this one hammered in, and then we'll see if Aaron's back from getting some laundry done, and then we'll see about getting a 6x6 stood up again over here. So hang tight and let's see how long it takes. Well, it looks like we're on our own for this 6x6. So let's use the tractor to at least get it over here, and then standing it up. Oh man, I don't know. Alrighty, well, that's how you do that. Not bad. It's perfectly straight and level. I still got to check my cross box, but it ain't moving now, so even if it's off, there's not really much we can do. So we'll just have to square up every other joist as opposed to these two if the box is like crooked. But as long as we lay our boards down or whatever our decking material is going to be, that should, we'll square that up, and we can always fix stuff with trimming and stuff. But I'm going to head up there right now, do the same thing I already did. Cut back the roof, set an LVL, set the plate. And at least for right now, this shouldn't go anywhere. Like I said, I'm not 100% stoked about having just some GRKs in here right now. I've got 3 of them on each side, but I don't think anytime soon I'm going to be running out of that back door and jumping up and down on this deck. So for right now, that should be fine. And then we'll just get some heavily galvanized 1/2-inch bolts, and we can leave the GRKs, but put some 1/2-inch bolts like going through here and up here. Send them all the way through, and then that should almost guarantee that this front beam's not going to go anywhere. And then when we double and triple it up and then bolt that all together, that should be a lot tighter. But this should be easy now. Just go ahead and do what I've already done before, besides having that headache of a nailing issue on the inside where the soffit is, having to hit the nails going in this way. But let's get up there, cut the roof, set the first mounting bracket, and then we'll set our, hopefully the last 2 LVLs. Well, hopefully this works. Somehow the GoPro dies even though you guys are on a massive battery pack. But I just got the first truss set. As you saw right before that, we cut back everything flush there. So now when we go ahead and finish the siding will go up there and will meet inside of the peak of that roof. So as you're standing on the deck, you're going to be seeing all the way up to that under peak, not to the peak, but the lowest part in there. So you can see we've got about maybe 1.5 feet to fill in there and then come down the sides. So basically as we run the LP Smart siding up there, it'll get undercut to follow that pitch there, which I believe is a 812 also. And then I'm gonna go ahead and set the first ridge back, I guess. Hopefully I did it right. I got a 812 pitch cut on here, so that should sit completely flat on the roof. Now the only thing is that is going to lay on the roof sheathing, which we can't have. So we need some 2x6s basically, that as it goes back along there, that piece right there isn't sitting on the roofing. We want it to sit on a 2x6 as 2x6s come on down to make a valley basically. So I will just go ahead and put that on there temporarily. We'll straighten the truss up so it's completely plumb, set the ridge back. I overcut it a few inches just to make sure I didn't make a mistake. So I'll probably just grab like a scrap piece of 2x4 or something so I can set that on the roof first, and then go ahead and sit the ridge back on top of it on that 812. That way I can get my cut this way perfectly, and we plumb that up again. And then I think that's it. We'll then be able to, it's basically secure now. you could push on that thing pretty good, because not only do we have it nailed to the LVLs, but good thing we've got all that blocking in there. I've got nails going right through the 2x6 there on the bottom cord, going right into the blocking, so that thing is not really moving much at all. But once we put the ridge back on there, it really won't move. And then we can just go ahead and stamp out the rest of the trusses, and we'll be done hopefully for tonight. We've got all day tomorrow that we can get sheathing on and get all those cuts done. And again, the biggest part I'm worried about is figuring out the 2x6s that are gonna go up at an angle laying against the roof, so that way it takes the load of the ridge back that's going back. And then kind of maybe, it's not much. I only measured about 68 inches from the peak all the way back to the roof, so 68 inches isn't much at all. That's going to be a very, very tiny roof. Although, come to think of it, we do have overhangs we have to talk about. So yeah, hold on, we'll figure it all out. Let me get up there and get it all plumbed up, and then we'll go from there. Okay, what a day. So I only got 3 set. First 2 kind of suck because the 2-foot overhang, you obviously have to cut back pretty much flush with the heel, because that can't go underneath of the house truss. The second one was still hitting the roof, so that had to be cut back, and I just picked a whatever length basically. And then the third truss I actually got set, and the thing that sucks is something's wrong here. The heels are off or something, because I set like the second and the third one on this side over here, looking at the heel, making sure it was the same as the very first one. But then when you go up and look at the top peak, all the peaks are like, one's this way, one's that way, one's this way. They're all completely off. So instead of setting the heels, which they should be, I'm setting the actual very tip of the peak. So what will probably end up happening is when I run my 2x6 across all of these for like a front fascia where gutters will attach to, they'll just have to be trimmed back so that they're all equal. The house didn't seem to be that problem. My dad's the one that set all them, and he set from the outside of the truss, where again that fascia will go. He went back in and set it to the beam. Now, like I said earlier, these beams could be a little bowed out one way or the other, but I can't pull and do everything myself, so the only thing I can really go off of is set all the peaks 100%. Go out here and measure the very, very outside tomorrow, and I'll measure that distance apart from each other to make sure it's the same as the house. And if it's not, I'll have to put a tie strap around it and kind of suck it in, or if it's too far in and I have to push out, then I don't think it really matters all that much. But they're set in stone kind of now. We will put tornado straps on them, or hurricane straps. We got the upper ridge back set all the way up in there. It's not 100%, but it is level. So we still have to figure out, you know, how many spider trusses we're gonna do, if we're doing 2 foot on center or something, or if we're using 2x6s, maybe go to 16 inches on center, just because that may be a lot of load for a 2x6, not to sag, but I don't know. We should finish out the other 5 trusses tomorrow. Then we're gonna have to get some lumber. Definitely gonna run out to do the ladders on the outside. On this side out here, we're gonna do a ladder overhang. Since we do have a drop truss, we can do it correctly this time. So that ladder's got a lot of pull down force, since the 2x4 will be spanning 2 trusses on the drop down and be face nailed into the second to last truss out here. But yeah, so if you guys can imagine, tomorrow, that's what the front of the house is gonna look like. Only 32-foot trusses instead of 12 from heel to heel, or 16 from outside to outside. That's basically what it's going to look like. So probably won't get too much of an image back here with the tree in the way, but you'll get the idea. So I gotta wash up. It was one hell of a day doing all that heavy lifting. So I will see you guys back tomorrow morning. Hey everybody, welcome back. So it's kind of mid-morning. I just got 2 more trusses set, or 3 more trusses set, and kind of finding out some things here. For whatever reason, I don't think the brackets, when I mounted them against the house, are 100% where they're supposed to be. They were a little off. So the trusses aren't sitting on full depth of the inside and the outside LVL, which they wouldn't have anyway, because that heel is very short. It's only about that long. And those LVLs are 5 1/4 inches wide. So you wouldn't be sitting on them anyway. So it's a good thing we boxed them in and bolted them all together. So that way they're kind of more like one piece. But the outside beams, they're kind of more narrowed in as opposed to where the house brackets are. So the poles are level, but I think because the houses are set and then where we set the diamond pairs, they weren't 100%, so we're actually tapering in a little bit. Yes, I could have pushed the beams out, but I would have had to have done that by setting an outside truss or putting like a 2x6 or something on the outside to get it squared up. But I don't think you're really gonna notice it, but it is kind of hard to go from basically a bracket all the way up in that corner, coming all the way down at an angle 12 feet out and trying to get those 100% even. So hopefully the front of the house, that was a little bit better. But I don't know, we may have to remember that in the future. So this is why I'm using this one as experience to bolt together a couple 2x or something so we get 32 feet long. And then that way we can measure the outsides and the insides and make them 100%. But I definitely put those brackets not at 100%. I don't know, my math must have been off, or when I mounted them, they must have been off because the heels aren't 100% where they should be. And I don't know how I messed that up. But yeah, like I said, you shouldn't really be able to see anything, especially when we put wood or something up under there. However, we're going to decorate that for what you see up above. So the heel, like this very last one I just set, the heel is actually exposed a tiny bit on this side. I don't know if you can see up there, but once we put, like, say some tongue and groove boards down under there, like shiplap siding or something, once we go up under there like that, that heel, you won't really be able to see it, and it's still supported by the majority of the beam up there, so it should be okay. The other thing I just noticed, somehow I ordered one too many trusses, so that's a huge pain in the butt. You can see I've got one against the house, so 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 11, 12. So apparently I only needed 7 trusses, yet somehow they gave me 8. I swear I ordered 7 trusses. So maybe I have an extra one, which makes me think I need to go look at how many of the big trusses we have, because those should have been 7 also. Nope, we got 8 trusses of those too. That sucks, because something tells me I paid for 8 trusses on each side instead of 7. So that was a waste of money. But yeah, let's get the drop-in truss up here. And then I think we're gonna make a run to the store and start purchasing some 2x6s for the outside fascias, and the 2x6s are gonna run on the roof so that the spider trusses have something to sit on, and then we'll need 2x6s so they can sit on, the spider trusses can sit on that so they're not sitting on the roof decking. And then, I don't know, I'll get sheathing today too. I don't know how much sheathing I'll be able to get done, because that's gonna suck. We've got 4 days of rain in the forecast, and now you can see we're completely cut back there. So anything coming off that section of roof right there is gonna run down, run back in on the top plate, run on down here. But it's okay, at least for back here, because we don't have the door in. So that should all dry out. But that's exactly the problem that I'm worrying about the front. Now that we've got the front door set, once we cut that back, we have to get everything up in the sheathing and at least the waterproofing on for whatever goes onto the roof decking over here, back in on the roof, and get that waterproofed out as fast as possible, or the inside of that front door is just gonna get rained on and everything's gonna trickle down. So yeah, let's just get going and hang this last one and get to the store. Well, we didn't make it. It wasn't supposed to rain today. It's supposed to rain the next 4 days, but it's here now. So maybe it will only rain for 3 days and then not the 4th. But We got the ladders done. I got that side of the house's fascia board on, and it's now attached to the house. Soffit's over this way. We got the ladder overhangs on both sides and all the ladders going out. And even though we got a dropped end truss, we could only put 4 2x4s going from the first truss to the second truss. And then we needed 4 regular ladder overhangs to come all the way down. And then as you can see, I got 1 piece of sheathing on. So that should greatly stiffen it up. Hopefully if no bad winds come, but if they do, fingers crossed. But yeah, it's gonna be raining on the inside of the house pretty good. Although right now I can see it's coming straight down off the ICF. So fingers crossed, a lot of that water on the roof comes on down and then shoots straight down off of the blocking. And the foam that I've got it up in there, hit the ICF and then just come on down. And then we just have to worry about water getting into the house where the bottom of that door should go. And frankly, that's been happening anytime the wind's been really bad anyway, because it blows it straight in. And then on the inside of that Tyvek, you can see it gets pretty wet on there. But like I said, it's not the end of the world. There's nothing over here that can really be destroyed. So if, like I said, you can already see water encroaching in kind of there. It'll hit the rubber wall that's laying down there. And if it gets the subfloor a little bit wet and rains down into the basement a little bit, there's nothing over on that side of the house that it'll get wet or destroy. And it'll dry out eventually. I mean, this floor has lasted long enough through the winter and ice and all the rainstorm we've had so far until the roof was actually officially put on, or the ice and water shield. So hold tight, we'll wait for a weather delay and then we'll be back. Hey guys, what's up? So got the roof sheathing on, not 100% done. Still gotta do the cutbacks on that outer edge there. You can see some are a little bit long. Nothing that's gonna win awards on Instagram or anything. As you can see, all the plywood's not 100%. You can see some are a little long, some are a little short going up that roof. It doesn't really matter though, because once the flashing goes on, to that valley like trim where water will shed on down in between the plywood right now and the black ice and water shield, you're never going to see any of that in there. So like I said, like that's a little long up there on the peak, but it doesn't really matter. It'll all be covered up. First time doing it, trying to get all those angles right, and they are just hard as heck to get, but at least it's sheathed. It's sturdy as can be. I used 2x6s for the ridge back and for the valley pieces. And right up on that upper part there, I only used 4 pieces total. One was about 48 inches and the other was only about 19. So they're 2 foot on center. So like I said, more than enough to structurally hold everything, but it's good to go. Back on camera, I look a mess, but it's been one heck of a day. I'm gonna take you up on the roof here and show you what everything looks like. Been up since 9 a.m., so I'm calling it here. The renter place had to come over here. Their muffler fell off, so guy came over here and got a clamp on it and a bracket that was supposed to hold the muffler up so it wouldn't like vibrate and stuff. It obviously vibrated too much and snapped off, so he put that bracket back on with a rubber grommet. But let me take you up here, show you that this side is now all completely done, and it may take a few days for us to get back over there to do that side, because that is just an absolute disgusting, nasty swamp, and it's really hard to get in there, and we got it stuck a few times. Luckily, this guy is lightweight, and my tractor was able to pull me out and pull me in as I needed to come this way. But let's go up here, show you how I finished everything out, and then we may wrap this video up here or get back at it tomorrow, depending on the weather or something, but hang tight. So what do you guys think? Like I was saying before, doesn't matter what the boards look like. At this point, what boards? So I think I said this earlier, but like my dad says, rough framing's rough framing, and you're not going to see half of it anyway. There's a margin where you still have to have your rough framing be good, but just because of those, like the second board in, maybe a little bit wonky or whatever, by the time we put that valley in, put the valley trim in there also, you'll never see the board, and the full majority of the board is not only being connected by the rafters going down, but also by a 2x6 that's laid all the way through there. It's nailed on the edge there too, so that thing's never going to pull up or pull away. But this is actually code, so technically I'm allowed to stop right here and do asphalt shingles. I still will probably up here, the boards that you still see, I'll go ahead and use a 15-pound roofing felt or something that's synthetic, maybe something, I don't know, a little more robust, maybe a little more waterproof. That would suck if the shingle fails to have water get onto my sheathing there and everything. But this stuff is a pain in the butt to work with in the summertime. I thought it was bad in the winter. This stuff sticks to everything in a millisecond. But God, I'm happy that I only have to do 2 more rows over there. The other valley is on, and we're doing a shingling effect. So valley goes in first. These then run over top of that, and then we'll do that the same way when we start to shingle. We'll put a metal flashing valley in there, and then the shingles will run up and sit on top of the metal flashing. And all of my drip edges are on. Zip tape is on all along, so we're completely waterproof all down in here, just not 100% in there. The only way that water can actually get into the house now is that very last board up there. There's a crack right there. Water could technically still get down into that crack and then drip down on the roof, the existing roof that was there before, and then still run in, but you're only looking at a little baby crack there. I probably should still put a piece of zip tape going down this way, but or maybe even along that side right there, so water can't get underneath of there. But it is what it is. I don't think we're long from shingling. Like I said, I could actually start tomorrow, because the front fascia and everything is done over there. I just have to put on my drip edge, and hell, I could put my starter strips on here tomorrow and start running this, as long as I go get my valley trim. But that's what I wanted to show you guys. Lower fascia is on too. The only thing that we got to figure out, which is going to be a little difficult here, we got to do a lot of trimming and making some boards. I'll show you that real quick. All right, so here's our one issue. The problem is the bottom of this 2x6 is not to the bottom of these LVLs. There's actually about 6 1/8 of an inch of drop down here before this gets level. So if we're gonna put a soffit in here and a light right here, then we need basically a 2x10 that can attach for about 3 inches or so into here, drop down so that bottom edge of the 2x10 is equal to the bottom edge of the 2x6. Then we can go ahead and put our support beams in here, like 2x4s that I use to go all the way across, and then our soffit will nail into here, we'll nail into the 2x4s going this way, and then they'll nail into the bottom of the 2x10 this way, and that way we can make a box. So that kind of sucks that that's how that worked out, but really nothing that I can do there except bring something down. And it doesn't have to be a 2x10 all the way across. It could be just some individual 2x4s nailed up in there, maybe every 2 foot on center or something, just so this 2x here has something to go across. The only thing with that is there is a ripping effect, basically. If you're 3 inches nailed up there on a 2x4 and you got 6 inches down here, technically that board can push in and the nails up here can pull out. But it's really only supposed to hold up the soffit. There's really nothing majorly structural with this. So as long as we get something to hang down here level with the 2x6 in here, then we can come out and then we can obviously flash it and trim it out just like the soffits over here. So that's the only thing that kind of sucks. That's just extra work, because hell, I could put these soffits on right now tonight if there was something over on this side to actually nail to. But that's something that I'm gonna figure out and play with. And then, like I said before, we'll trim out the underneath of here and on the other side with some smart trim, so this all looks nice and clean, and whatever we're gonna put up in there will make it all look nice and clean. But I'm gonna wrap this up here for today, and then we'll see how long this video is, and might end it, or we might get over to the other side. We'll see, so hang tight. All right, everybody, it's another day, but I am gonna wrap this video up here. Today, I think I'm just gonna be doing a lot of intricate, like, maintenance type work, which is just super annoying. I hate doing it, but it's gotta be done. So we just did flashing tape all up along where the last sheet of ice and water shield is. So we bond that to the wood. It was lifting a little bit, so water was definitely gonna get under there, and we don't want that lifting the ice and water shield off of the roof. So we taped it up there, taped it up the valley on this side of the valley. So that's all 100%. And now I'm just transitioning back over to here where we've got our flashing board on. We still got our drip edge flashing to go all the way up there. And then underneath there, I've got to caulk all the nail holes and all the seams where it's on the flashing on this side and where the T11 goes against the house that way. So I'm laying on my back, pressing up against there so I don't slide down the roof and just caulking it. So just a huge pain in the butt. But once all that's flashing's done and all that's done, then pretty much we're ready for paint and whatever siding that we put up against the wall there. So we're kind of ready for that stage now too. And yeah, the lift isn't probably gonna make it over there. So today we'll probably move the lift over to the front side of the house and we'll do the same thing. We'll get our flashing boards on, our T11 coming up underneath, caulk everything, put that drip edge on, and then the house should be 100% buttoned up and ready for paint, besides, again, the gable end wall here between the house and the garage. So next video, not sure what it'll be. It'll be something, whatever we decide, but hang tight. And again, wrapping it up here. So if you like the video, hit the thumbs up as always, subscribe if you're not already, and hit us up at NeckofTheWoods 2020 on Instagram if you guys need to personal message us or see any Erin's custom photos that she does of stuff that's not included in videos sometimes. So until then, we'll see you guys next time. Take care.